Hey, welcome back to Race Views. Today we're going to discuss Gateway Cup day number 2. So this was the Category 2-3 race of the 2018 Gateway Cup, and it's the Tour de Francis Park. So again, very similar course to Friday's race, which you can watch up at the top right corner of this video. It was kind of a slow race, actually. We only averaged 28.2, which, I mean, I guess everyone was just kind of just waiting for a field sprint. There was a couple groups that went off the front, but we always had them in sight. You can't really see from the GoPro footage, but at the top of the hill out of turn 2, there's a little downhill section, and you could always see up ahead if there was a move going. Especially using the follow or the race leader car, you could always tell where the move was. So it's really hard on these first 2 days for a breakaway to actually stick. And the only day a breakaway stuck was the last day, which was a 10 corner crit. So again, I just want to start off these race views with a full lap. So this first lap, we were chilling. Like 23 miles per hour, man. It was real slow. And then we have a downhill section, and I believe we had a tailwind here. So you'll notice in this video, I'm coasting a lot, and I'm kind of just chilling towards the back. And I wanted to talk about how to conserve energy in a race. And specifically in this race, I averaged under 200 watts until the crash, which you'll be able to see at the end of this video how exactly that happened and if there was any way I could have avoided that. So again, this race, I was just chilling in the back because I knew a breakaway would be, it would have to have a lot of motivated guys. And in this field, it seemed like there wasn't too many teams controlling the race. And, you might say that, that's a perfect opportunity for a breakaway, but actually everyone was just like chasing everything down. Any move that went, it was being brought back. So I wasn't too worried about sitting in the back and just waiting for a field sprint, conserving energy. You can see like coming into this turn, I'm at 0 watts for a good 20 seconds before that. And then, I'm putting on the pressure a little bit up to 400 watts for a bit. But that's just kind of how this race went. It was, sometimes they get strung out and then they'd sit up and then you can just like coast to the front of the group, which is primarily how I was able to conserve so much energy and, average 200 watts. So again, if you were watching, you could see that the group was real strung out when we came through turn 1, and now everyone just sits up. So I was putting on a little bit of pressure on the pedals, so I have a decent amount of speed. So I'm just basically coasting to the front right now. I'm not, under 300 watts, but I made up a good 20 or 30 spots just on how big this field is without using that much energy at all. And again, we're coming through this downhill section with a tailwind, so I'm able to pretty much just coast in this group and move up a bunch of spots without using a lot of energy, which is, what you want to do in these, big fields if you want to conserve energy is just, use drafting and the wind to your advantage. And sometimes through this turn, guys would literally brake, which makes no sense. Maybe because of those manhole covers, they were kind of sketched out. But most of the race, I was just sitting in the back, leaving a little gap through that turn. They would brake, and since we had that downhill tailwind, I was able to just use my momentum and just go through that turn how you're supposed to at like 30 plus and, cruise right back onto the group. So this race was just, it was super easy, and it was really disappointing to crash at the end because, like I said, I was super fresh, ready for a sprint, and yeah, it didn't work out. And then coming through another lap, we have, this little hill on the front stretch. Wasn't too bad at all, but guys are just sitting up at this point. We're going 20 miles an hour. So nobody really wants to do any work, and nobody wanted to go off the front. I think everyone just wanted a field sprint, and that's what they got. So and one thing I should mention is the lap counter is 1 lap off. So we actually did 21 laps of this race. So later on during the crash, it was actually with 2 to go instead of on the last lap, as the lap counter said. I'm not quite sure how that got messed up, but it did. So at this point, there's a guy on my right-hand side that says, "Hey man, I like your derailleur camouflage." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So I look down at my derailleur, and there's like a leaf just like hanging off my rear derailleur, and I'm like, "Nice joke, man, nice joke." And he's like, "Yeah, is that cedar?" And I'm like, "No, it's oak." So then coming through this turn, it wasn't like that bad. It's just a leaf, but I unclipped my right foot and like kicked it off a bit. So you'll see my watts drop to like 0 for a little while. Yeah, right here. So I'm kicking off the leaf. My cadence drops to 0, and then I get it and bring it back up. So just a little funny story that happened during the race. And when you have talks like that in a crit, it's pretty chill. Like in a road race, occasionally that'll happen, but not in a crit usually. And you'll see there how I'm moving up right there with 0 watts. So we have 7 laps to go or so because of that, lap that's off. And I was just moving to the outside, using my momentum and moving up. And that's primarily why I was sticking to the outside, is just because you can move up really easily. Here's another example of me making up a couple spots on the outside and being able to hold a lot of speed through the turn. And I know I just talked about this the day before of staying to the inside because you need to use the course to your advantage. But again, I was just having so much luck moving up on the outside that it didn't really make sense to go on the inside and have to, potentially sprint out of the turn. So here we go. We have 2 laps to go, or 3 laps to go, I should say. Again, starting to move up. I'm pretty close to the front, but again, on the outside, able to make up a lot of positions, holding speed through that turn. And, that's why I was sticking to the outside here. So again, here we go, 2 laps to go, and we're about to have a crash happen. And apparently what happened was someone's ice sock got stuck in their drivetrain. So when it's really hot, guys will put, a sock and then put ice in it, and boom, I eat it. And I really want to know if there was actually a way for me to avoid this. But after looking at the footage, I really just don't think there was a way I could avoid it. So you can see right now, there's a tree on my right. So if I hop the curb right now, I'm probably going to go into that tree. So I have to wait a couple seconds. And we're going 28 miles per hour. It's 2 laps to go. We're going fast. So, I continue on, and, there's guys to my left. I can't move that way. And even if I do, I'm going to run into that crash that's in the bike lane right now. So the only option I have right at this moment is to hop the curb into the grass, go on the sidewalk, and hopefully make it around some couple trees. Also make it around those spectators that are right there. And then hop back in the pack. So, again, we're going 25 miles per hour right now. I'm slammed on the brakes. I have very little time to react to this. So And again, the guy's bike is flying in the grass. So I don't know how far that's going to go. And the option I took was to, basically run into the back of this guy and land in the grass. Now, luckily, I was able to stop before heading face first into that tree, and I landed in the dirt instead, or the, mulch or whatever you want to call it. And that was just super disappointing. You can hear in the video, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Cause I was right up there in the right position pretty much, and was feeling confident. Again, averaging under 200 watts for this race, and to crash in that moment was real disappointing. And you'll find out in the next race views, I crashed again the day after this. So that was, again, another real disappointing race with one lap to go. But that being said, I don't think there was anything I could do in that moment. I could have hopped that curb if I was, a Peter Sagan dude. If I was Peter Sagan, I probably could have hopped that curb or hopped that dude. But unfortunately, that's just how it happened. But I hopped back on my bike real quick and, tried to chase. But when you're going 30 plus, you can't really catch on. So hope you guys enjoyed this race views. Hope you guys learned something. If you did, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again in the next one.